God did not give us plants to get high on. And again, that is a whole nother topic. So I get to the point where I'm having this existential crisis. How can I have been meditating every day for 5 hours and doing all this yoga and doing all this healing and exploring myself and healing my trauma? How can I still be this broken? So I started to get really desperate. I was overwhelmed with despair, and I started to feel that if I don't find out why I'm really here and what the truth is, I don't want to be here anymore. So I got really desperate, and I started to cry out to God, or the universe, as I then called it. So I decided that I was going to sit every day outside of my house under a tree, and instead of doing my yoga practice, I was going to sit and I was going to ask God to show me the truth. So I did that every day for about 3 weeks, I think. I sat down under the tree and I would just cry out to the sky, show me the ultimate truth. I started just demanding, God, whoever, whatever you are, if you don't show me the truth, then I don't want to live anymore. Show me the ultimate truth behind reality, or I want to die. Just kill me, because I could not go on in this vacuous, painful existence, not understanding why I'm here, why any of this is happening. I said, if you don't show me the truth, I don't want to do this anymore. I'd rather just leave. I'd rather just die, because being here on earth is essentially so entirely pointless if you don't know who made you and why you're here. We all crave purpose as humans. We need a purpose. We need to understand why we're alive. And we can fill our heads with ideas about what that is, but if we don't know our Creator and what He purposed us for, then we're just deceiving ourselves. We're not really arriving at our true purpose, but instead we're just distracting ourselves until we die. I said, I don't want to do this anymore. So I get so desperate. My heart posture was really desperation. And I'm screaming at the sky every day, show me the ultimate truth. You show me. I'm not leaving until you show me. I started demanding truth like I have never, ever asked for anything in my life. And one day I was sitting under the tree and I was screaming at the sky, show me the ultimate truth. Show me the ultimate truth. I want the real big T truth, because all these little truths I have with the small t, they're not it. I've read every book on every religion. I've read every book on every philosophy, spiritual modality. I know everything about the universe according to all these books and philosophies and ancient wisdom traditions. And I still feel there's a big T truth that I'm not getting, and you have to show me. So I'm screaming this at the sky, and then I close my eyes. And when I open my eyes again, Jesus Christ is hovering in front of me, just floating in front of me, full-size man floating in the sky in all his glory and wonder, and just this incredible, perfect golden light emanating from him. And I don't know if I was in the spirit realm or if I was still sitting there, but everything felt like I was in the spirit, because I just zoomed in on him. And I don't know how long I was just staring at him. Then I opened my mouth and I said, you are Jesus Christ. So I had no way of knowing that. I had never had any encounter or discussion about Jesus. I never thought about Jesus. I barely knew who he was, because I was raised in such an occultic bubble that there was no reference to Jesus in my upbringing. There was no discussion about Jesus. I'd honestly never given him a second thought. And I had no intellectual way of understanding who he was, but the moment I saw him, it was like my spirit just recognized his spirit. And I immediately, my tongue confessed him, just like scripture says. I couldn't help it. My mouth opened by itself and said, you are Jesus Christ. And in that moment where I saw him, I knew that he was God, that he was God of all creation. I knew that he was Jesus Christ, that he was God, is God, and that he was my creator. I knew that when he appeared like that in front of me, he was saying, I am the truth. I'm calling for the truth. And he shows up and says, here I am. So in that moment that I looked at him, I knew all of these things in my spirit. I knew he was God. I knew he was the truth. I knew he was Jesus Christ. And all I could do was just worship him. I spent so long looking at the details of his garment, the details of the folds in his robe. He was wearing a white linen robe, and the details were just, I've never seen anything in my life so clearly as I saw the details in his linen robe. So he was wearing a white robe with this big foldy kind of neck, and he had a gold sash around his waist. And when I looked at the sash, I could see like every detail of the weave of this golden sash, and I just remember staring at that for so long. In the spirit realm, I've always had the ability to like zoom in, so this felt like I was seeing him in the spirit, even though he was actually in front of me with my eyes open. It was very strange, but I was able to kind of zoom in on details. So I felt like it was like zooming in on an iPhone. I zoomed in on his sash for so long. And that sounds silly now, but I just couldn't stop staring at it, because even his clothes, even his clothes are just singing glory, 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 glory. Like everything, even his clothing is just glory. He's just radiating perfect love, perfect light. And I spent a long time just meditating on his feet, on the texture of his sandals, his leather sandals, and like the hairs on his legs and arms. And I don't know how long I was looking at him, but it felt like forever. I was just in such awe of his beauty. And he's so beautiful. I need a tissue. And I look up at him, and he lifts his hands out to his side like this. And as he lifts his hands, it's like all of the air around him is moving like he's underwater. Sometimes in the spirit, things move like they're underwater, you know, like the way hair moves when it's underwater. Everything is amplified. I could see every ripple of the air moving around him. And it's like as he moved his arms up, all of creation is just responding to him. All of creation, the air around him, the birds, the trees, the light around him is singing his praise, is glorifying him as God. All of creation testifies to the fact that he's God. And he lifted up his hands and he said to me, I love you, Naila. And when he said that, his mouth didn't move, but it was as if I heard his voice audibly, but his mouth didn't move, which is something else I've noticed in the spirit realm. Things can be telepathic, so you don't need to move your mouth. But when he said, I love you, Naila, it was like an atomic bomb came out of his mouth. Like the words came out and everything in creation went poof. It rippled through me and then out through all of creation, like poof. And I felt the entire universe around me shake. And I felt every cell in my own body shake. And it was just so incredible, the most powerful experience I've ever had. I mean, his voice is just amazing. His voice is like, thunder and lightning and waves crashing and a lion's roar, but it's also like the most gentle, peaceful sound in the universe. It's like a child's laugh or just classical music or birds singing. Somehow it's everything at the same time. And it was so beautiful, but I was so broken. I didn't know how to receive love. I didn't know what love was at that stage. So when he said to me, "I love you, Naila," I didn't know how to receive that. I believed my whole life that I was unlovable. I had never been loved by anyone my whole life, not real love. I had experienced very conditional love, or what looked like love but was really just a set of conditions. I'd experienced lust, but I had never experienced real love. So when he said to me, "I love you, Naila," I couldn't receive it. And I said the most ridiculous thing back to him. I argued with God, which is just the most stupid thing anyone could ever do. But that's what happened. I opened my mouth and I said, "Well, you have to love me because you're God. You love everyone." So I believe he asked me that question, he told me that statement, "I love you, Naila," and called me by name to highlight the state of my own heart, that I actually felt so rejected that I was believing that I was the only one who was not worthy of love. So yeah, you can love everyone because you have to, but it's not about me, I'm not special, I'm not worthy. And so he said the most beautiful thing anyone's ever said to me. In response to that, he said, "You don't understand." And when he said the words, "You don't understand," it's like it broke my brain. I heard him say, "You don't understand," and my brain went just clear, like there's nothing in my mind. And I had the realization, the revelation in that moment, that I don't understand anything. Nothing. I don't understand who I am. I don't understand who God is, and I don't understand what any of this is. I literally know nothing. In all of my seeking and all of my knowledge finding, all of my truth hunting, all of my reading and practicing of all these different ancient spiritual arts and all of these philosophies, I know nothing. And when he did that, whatever he did to completely destroy my brain, it's like he created a blank canvas, and then he came towards me and he stood over me and he spoke into me every reason that he loves me. So he renewed my mind, I believe, in that moment, because I had never experienced truth before. So he spoke the truth into my soul, and he told me all the reasons he loved me. He told me, "I love you, Naila, because you are Naila." You are Naila. You're the only one like you. You're totally unique. There's only one Naila in the whole universe. And, in so many, I'm paraphrasing, but in so many words, he had me understand in my soul that if he doesn't have me, he doesn't have a Naila. He said, "I love you, Naila, because you're uniquely, wonderfully, fearfully made. I knit you together in your mother's womb, and you are mine. I love you because I created you and you belong to me." And so when I understood this, as he was speaking these words and it was going into my mind and into my heart, I had this physical sensation in my heart of the first time of love. It was a physical feeling in my heart of unconditional love. And I remember just sitting there thinking, wow, this is what love feels like. It's amazing. This is what love feels like. And there are no words to describe that feeling. He healed my heart, or he did something to change me irreversibly from that day. And when I opened my eyes, he had come round and he was sitting in front of me, and he sat opposite me, and he held up his right hand like this really slowly. And inside of the palm of his right hand, there was a flame. a massive flame inside of the palm of his right hand. And he started to just move it towards me like this. So I'm looking at this flame. Again, I'm just meditating on the details of this flame burning in his hand. I'm asking myself, how on earth can he be holding fire like in his hand and it's not burning his flesh? Which is a stupid question because he's God. But again, I was like a child. Everything about him was blowing my mind. And he brought the flame towards me, and then he put his hand on my heart and he put the flame into my heart. It went inside of me and I felt the weight of his hand on my chest. And that's when I knew that he was there. Like the fact that I could physically feel his hand on my chest just blew me away. I started crying and I just wept. I howled and wept. I ugly cried like I've never cried before. I was snot pouring out of my nose. I just broke open and wept every single tear that I'd ever needed to cry my whole life. It was like 32 years of agony and trauma and loss and pain and rejection just came pouring out of me. And as I cried, he just sat opposite me with his hand on my chest, looking at me, just beaming, radiating perfect, unconditional, just golden love into me and healing me. And it's like as I was pouring out all the pain, he was just pouring in love. It was amazing. I don't know how long I sat there. I cried for a really long time. It felt like an eternity, but when I opened my eyes, he was gone.